Juliette Bryant. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, Owen. Thank you so much for having me on your show, and thank you to everyone for listening and for caring. It's been very frightening, everything that's been going on. I was kidnapped by Jeffrey Epstein 22 years ago. I met him when he was in Africa with Bill Clinton and Kevin Spacey and Chris Tucker. They staged a modeling casting, and I was taken to New York to model, but then quickly kidnapped to the island. It's been very, very frightening. You know, obviously I've been in trauma through most of my life after what happened. As we all know, they're covering a lot up. And, you know, I've just been terribly upset, obviously, as everyone has, because they promised us the Epstein list. You know, Trump gained presidency promising the list. And where is the list? Now they say there is no list. How dare they lie to people like this? It's not right. And it doesn't just affect the victims, it affects the public. This has affected all of us. As I've spoken about recently, I saw him shapeshift into something else in front of my eyes. You know, it looked like a sort of reptilian creature, like when I was in the bedroom, when he took me there. And what I'm starting to realize is it was probably like an alien creature. And it's hard talking about this because a lot of people think it's crazy. And I would also think it was crazy. But unfortunately, I saw it. And also in New Mexico, I saw a UFO there, and then I woke up in a laboratory with people working on me, you know, 6 people in hazmat suits, or I don't even know if there were people.
Did you get drugged?
And I don't actually know. You know, they didn't allow any alcohol drugs there, but they could have drugged me. Epstein shapeshifted in front of me. It's very hard to understand if you haven't seen it, but I saw it. I want to be lie detected on this. But I've never seen anyone else turn into anything like that. And it happened. It was like a weird hologram, and it had like big black eyes. If you look back through ancient history, you'll notice there are a lot of dragons. They only used to draw and depict what was real. Also, there's this article joking about Bush, Clinton, and the Queen all being reptiles. Why do Hillary Clinton and Prince Andrew apparently not sweat? What about Bieber, Adele, and Lady Gaga apparently all shapeshifting?
Hundreds of Justin Bieber fans say they witnessed the singer shapeshift into a reptilian while greeting them at Perth Airport. One witness said that all hell broke loose in the airport after Justin Bieber shapeshifted in front of his fans. She claims there were girls hiding in the toilets crying and guys were running for the exits, jumping in taxis to get the hell out of there. Perth Now briefly published an article about the incident featuring multiple interviews with witnesses. However, within an hour of publication, the article was mysteriously taken offline and scrubbed from the internet, but not before alert readers captured screenshots of the article and proof that it appeared on Google. The Perth Now article quoted witnesses who say they saw Bieber with eyes with a black stripe down the middle and big scaly claws that were lashing out angrily. Despite the removal of the article from the internet, the reptilian sightings continued the next morning. A local skater told reporters that Bieber was hanging around with this big guy, his bodyguard I guess, and we were just staring because he kept turning into a huge reptile. His bodyguard was pointing at us, shouting that he'd kick our teeth in if we didn't put our phones away. There were multiple accounts of seeing Bieber with greenish brown claws, while others claimed to have seen the singer in full female reptilian form. One fan described the reptilian version of Bieber as Really big, like way over 6 foot, slitty little reptilian eyes, curves, and covered in scales. Experts claim that Bieber belongs to the Babylonian Brotherhood, a group of shape-shifting reptilian humanoids determined to control the world and usher in the New World Order.
Adele shapeshifted into an 8-foot reptilian backstage at Auckland's Mount Smart Stadium after the final concert of her world tour, according to shocked fans and a reporter from the New Zealand Herald. The 10 super fans, invited backstage to meet Adele after her final New Zealand show, got more than they bargained for when the singer shapeshifted into a massive, at least 8 or 9 feet tall, powerfully built reptilian with greenish-gray scales, to quote one of the witnesses. Jim Joint, reporting for the New Zealand Herald, wrote that the superfans told him Adele had flickering reptile eyes with a black stripe down the middle and scaly horns and protrusions all over her body. She looked shocked, like she wasn't prepared for the change, a witness told the Herald. Adele fan Jessie Warren also told the Herald that Adele said the shape-shifting is crippling her and she can't go on until she learns to stop the reptile inside herself from manifesting itself in public. Adele said she won't be able to perform live or tour again until she learns to control the shape-shifting. Editor's note: the screenshots from the New Zealand Herald newspaper article were sent to us by Jessie Warren, an Adele fan who says she was invited backstage. According to Jess, the NZ Herald deleted the article shortly after publication. Warning readers to hold onto their hats, the New Zealand Herald writer claims that a number of fans who were invited backstage to meet Adele witnessed the British singer shapeshift into a giant lizard and then apologize for scaring them, explaining that she meant no harm and is a good reptilian. The New Zealand Herald has not responded to questions asking why they deleted the article from their website.
I painted Epstein as a reptile in 2019, and Maria Farmer, another victim, painted him as a reptile in 2020. Others have had similar experiences. What about The Simpsons prediction? Wasn't The Simpsons man on Epstein's airplane?
America, take a good look at your beloved candidates. They're nothing but hideous space reptiles.
As Tucker Carlson recently said, maybe we really are in a spiritual war.
That we are being acted on by spiritual forces that we cannot see, that there is a war going on all around us, out of our sight, not perceived by our senses most of the time, between good and evil.
What do you mean by the things that you had to unpack that happened to you? Explain, just give me some idea of what that is.
Well, you know, like when I was taken there the first time, I saw him literally turn into something else in front of my eyes. Like he shapeshifted in the bedroom. It was freaky. And, you know, I can understand a lot of people would think, okay, this girl's a bit bonkers or she was on drugs, but I wasn't on drugs and I'm not bonkers. You know, I saw this and I only saw it once. It was, 22 years ago. He suddenly turned into like a sort of dragon alien creature with huge black eyes. And it was and when I was taken in the bedroom with him that this happened, and David Icke speaks about all this stuff. That's actually how I first spoke about it publicly because, I did an interview with Richard Willett from Iconic, and he's a great guy. He's almost like Sherlock Holmes. He's, he does a lot of research, and he asked me the leading questions, about the book I wrote, why is it called The Dragon, the Apple and the Butterfly, and then I had to tell him because I saw Epstein turn into something. It only happened once, but it's such a vivid thing in my mind because it just, it was very frightening. His head just went really big, and then he had these big black eyes, and it was almost like an alien, devil-looking sort of thing with horns, and it just really, I got, that's another reason why I was, of course, petrified.
Sure, of course. Listen, I mean, we've got lots of people who are extremely suspicious about the way that he is supposed to have died. nobody really knows. There are still reports that he may have escaped, he may have got out, he may still be alive. What did you feel when you heard the news that he had died? And what do you think around, all of these suspicious circumstances that have to do with his death?
Well, I just couldn't almost believe it when he died, because I thought that he sort of ran the world, and I couldn't believe that. It was just like quite a shock. And also with regards to seeing the shapeshifting, I just wanted to bring up also that, Kathy O'Brien has spoken about this, because she was a MK Ultra sex slave apparently within the Bush administration. And also Jeanette Archer is another person who's spoken about shapeshifting.
Yeah.
Also, how the Simpsons predicts things. The Simpsons also, there's one where they go and they pull the mask off the president's heads and they're suddenly reptiles. There's a lot of weird stuff around all of that.
Yeah.
But sorry, what was the other question?
No, so
sorry,
his death.
I
mean, did you find all of that suspicious?
Yeah, well, it was just, it was just very, very, just what was going on. It was just very weird, And also in New Mexico, I saw like a UFO in the sky there, and that's when Michael Bay was there at the same time. And then I also have a memory where I woke up in a lab, was paralyzed on a table, naked, with people with 6 people in hazmat suits standing around me and a doctor and then she said, don't worry, everything's okay, and I was out again. And I've never had anesthetic as far as I know, so I don't really know how that works, but a friend of mine said that with anesthetic you can have weird sort of like we spoke about, and it's a very difficult thing to explain, because a lot of people wouldn't understand it, but it happened. He turned into something in front of my eyes, and and people question it and say, was I maybe drugged or something? I don't know, but the thing is, I do know that I've experimented with drugs years later, and I never ever saw anyone turn into anything ever. I obviously don't do drugs, but from the times when I slipped up and did them as a young person being stupid. But I wasn't doing any drugs there. We weren't allowed to do drugs. We weren't allowed, I'd never touched drugs. I'd actually never done a drug when I saw that. I'd maybe smoked a joint. Well, I definitely had smoked a joint, but I'd never ever touched any drug by that point in my life. And I think if I'd been drugged, I would have actually been aware of it, because I would have felt weird. Another weird thing is I've seen on the one documentary that Juliette Bryant made, I saw myself walking in the background, and it almost creeped me out, because it almost looks like I'm sort of floating. Because it's the thing is with hypnosis and cults, what I'm starting to realize is this was more like a sort of culty thing, where he was trying to get hold of people, and I think that's why a lot of people won't come forward, because a lot of people might have been benefiting. It was a sort of, it was a place where you didn't come out feeling normal. To be after being around them, and I can't really explain it, because I don't have the intelligence or the background, to nest. But there's some very, very clever people out there who understand things like this, that would be able to understand what was going on. But it was just very, very frightening being around them, and I don't think I was drugged. When I saw him shift, I saw that, and I don't know if I was drugged, but I did see him turn into something, and it was very much there, and it was very frightening. It sort of shook my whole perception of reality and everything, and it's something I couldn't even speak about at the time, because I couldn't tell my mum more about what had happened there, and it's just something I talk about, but it's something that I very, very much saw.
Why did you choose the title Epstein, the dragon, the apple, and the butterfly? There's obviously the butterfly comes back here as well, to the blue butterfly you were talking about. You've got MK Ultra kind of connotations to the butterfly with the monarch butterfly. So why did you choose that title? It's a lovely title.
Because when I was taken to the island, I saw Epstein shift in front of my eyes. It was very, very frightening. And it's just something that I had to explain to myself, because I saw him turn into something. And if someone else told me this, I wouldn't believe it. But unfortunately, it happened to me. So I had to look into it and try to find reasons for it to explain it. it's not an easy thing to talk about, because I can understand that a lot of people wouldn't understand it if they haven't seen it. Do you mind if I just have a puff of a cigarette? Sorry.
Yeah.
And then we keep going once.
Yeah, sure. Do another 5 minutes on top of this anyway, so that's fine.
Okay. Okay, let's do it.
So was this a theory that you were familiar with before? Was this the first time you heard it? So there's no suggestion in here. This is something you weren't aware of.
No, I wasn't aware of anything like that. A few years later, my mum started actually researching David Icke, and my mum knew about the whole reptilian theory, and so then I sort of clicked what I'd seen. Because the thing is, it wasn't actually like reptilian; it was more like an alien, like dragon. And that's when I looked into the Draconians, the Draco law. Also the Order of the Dragon, the royal family are all apparently part of the Order of the Dragon. Also their descendant Vlad the Drac used to drink blood, Vlad the Impaler. So I looked into a lot of history, and it sort of, it explained. But I saw him shift into something. It only happened once. But I've never seen anyone else turn into anything like that. And it happened. It was like a weird hologram, and it had like big black eyes. And so it happened.
Big black eyes, and it wasn't quite reptilian, but it was esque.
Yeah, it was like reptilian, draconian, alien sort of thing. It was like, it wasn't like the usual reptilian pictures that they draw of people where but I saw it, and it was like, and I was, when I looked at him and saw him as that, I decided to look away and look back at him, and when I looked back, it was him again.
Thank you for watching my video. Please visit my website at SamsTwitch.com. My X profile is at x.com/SamsTwitch_Sam. My YouTube channel is at youtube.com/SamsTwitch. I post videos that I cannot post on YouTube on my BitChute channel, at bitchute.com/SamsTwitch.